What's up, everyone? Nick from Comic Culture here. It's time for Nick at Night, my weekly comic book review show. If you want to get caught up in the conversation, go down below. I'll have links in the description. It's a great way to help support the channel. All right, with that out of the way, let's get into the books we read this week. Absolute Batman issue number 18. Scott Snyder and Nick Cagnetti on this, still guest artist on this book. Man, to some great effect. There are so many great kinetic, just color, jaw-dropping moments inside this issue. The big battle between Batman and Absolute Poison Ivy takes place in here, but there's different layers going on. There's a lot of flashback scenes to Bruce visiting his friends that were recently broken by Bane and seeing how they're recovering from that, seeing how their relationships are now strained. They blame him for this. And so, there's a lot of interesting things happening there. And there's a little bit of a, turn, I would say, on Bruce and how he feels about his friends. Like, he's going to show up at the doorstep every single day until he's not. And what's going to break him? Well, we see later what happens in this issue. So there is this cool back and forth mentally that Bruce is going through right now. And he basically sees this event with Poison Ivy as a way to, cross that line. You know what I mean? Like, go where he won't go before, take the guy out in a more permanent way. And that will kind of break his psyche in a way. And that has rippling effects down to his friends who will eventually turn into his rogues. Now, the really cool thing about this is that, as we're going through these absolute titles, especially with like Superman's starting to turn a little bit and become more like Superman that we know now. He's just living in this absolute world. Diana is still on the edge, right? She's tapping into that dark magic. She still has her values, but she's still sitting on the edge of like what we're used to and what we'd expect from an absolute book. Now, Batman has always kind of stayed in the shadows this entire time, and now he's reversing a little bit more, becoming more extreme. And I can't wait to see where that goes. It's very timely, too, because coming out of DCKO, we know these absolute characters are going to be staying around for a while, so they need legs, right? We need more story to tell. We need more character development and growth and lessons learned. I think pushing Batman back a little bit, making it more of a threat, going places he wouldn't typically go, that's going to give us longevity with this character. I don't know how the other titles are going to catch up to that concept. Like, if Superman goes full Boy Scout, where do we go? Where's our growth from there? Diana's still in that nice sweet zone, that Goldilocks zone where she can go in any direction. And Martian Manhunter, man, that book is insane right now. Who the hell knows where that's going to go? But like I said, the emotional impact, the character development, the change in what we have come to expect in Absolute Batman, that's all changing inside this issue. I'm really excited to see where this one goes. Let me know what you guys thought. Next up, let's go to DC Vertigo for Bleeding Hearts issue number 2. Now, Dennis Camp is on this one. I liked issue number 1. I was expecting a little bit more, but the good thing is I knew it was going to grow into something really special, and I'm seeing that right now in issue number 2. Now, it really helps to have a great artistic team. We have Morian on the art. We have Hollingsworth on the color. Love Matt's work on everything that he does. It's becoming a staple now that if you have Matt Hollingsworth on your book, it's something to look out for, man. It's kind of like having Haas on your letters. They only touch projects that are really good, and they're always on the best books out. Now, in this issue, we're changing perspectives. We ended the previous issue with this one woman guarding her child, our main protagonist, Zombie, I guess, who's growing a heart. His heart's grown 3 sizes in the first issue. They have an interaction there. We're going to do a little bit of a backstory on those human characters, though, to develop just some, trust and some connection with them. We need to give a crap about those characters, and they did a great job of doing that throughout this issue. Not only do we realize like who this woman is, her past relationships, but also that she gave birth to this child. The nickname is Rabbit. They've had a really traumatic upbringing. She's been living in this apocalyptic landscape her entire life. They lost her dad/husband recently, so they're going through a lot of emotions right now. They're separated from this group of people they recently found. Now they're face to face with a zombie that they think is going to tear them apart. That's not exactly what happens in here. That heart has grown 3 sizes, like I've said. So he's doing something different right now. So they're going to be playing a little bit of catch up on like what's his motivation, what's the zombie's motivation. But it was a real beautiful book, just layered with beautiful imagery as well. Like I said, from Morian and Hollingsworth, just complimenting everything about this story. It was a real big treat, guys. Like, I loved issue number 2. I liked issue number 1, but loved number 2. Let me know what you guys thought. All right, next up from Jeremy Adams and John Timms, we have Emperor Aquaman. I'm not sure why they changed that title right there, but issue number 15 is out, coming right out of the events of DCKO. Man, the Crimson Queen has been taking over everything right now for a while. She was locked away for a long time. She was trying to rise up against the man. She was locked away because of it. Now she's unleashed again, and her power is at its max. She's been siphoning it from Aquaman as he's been going through his battles, like sucking in that Omega energy. she's ultra powerful right now. Mira and team are trying to take her on. There's just not enough for this new like imbued force that's just wrecking shop right now. Now, Arthur, he's on some kind of dream quest right now. I'm not entirely sure what's happening, but he's getting recentered, refocused, and coming in contact with like a future version of him and like a younger version of him. And I guess it's like past, present, and future coming together, understanding the new power that you have, understanding the significance and the weight of it and the importance of it, and just being unleashed back into the world to help save the day at the 11th hour. And that's really all that happens inside this issue, besides also set up a new status quo. He's also now the avatar of like the blue. I may have said green before. He's the avatar of the blue, obviously, for oceans, but he's going to be extending his reach beyond just Earth in general. It's going to be going to the stars, right? Like wherever there's an ocean, wherever there's blue, they will be the protectors of it. And so it's like, well, how the hell are you possibly going to do that? So we're going to see in subsequent issues what's going on there. Again, I didn't like all these little like spin-off series, not a spin-off series, but these little series that's been going on outside of DCKO. I don't think they reined it in totally clean either, but we're going to see where they go from here because I still like the character and I liked everything leading up to this moment, but we're going to see where it ends up now. All right, next up is 51, meaning Area 51 from Kurt Pierce and Jock or Joke. Not sure how to pronounce that one. Mad Cave putting out this book. It's the new #1 this week. I'm surprised it didn't hit $20, $30. That's a shock. I hope it does. I could still flip mine, but it's a pretty cool book, man. So Kurt Pierce is a really great writer. I like a lot of the stuff that he's been putting out over the last few years. This one is a satire kind of a book. Imagine somebody getting sent to Area 51 kind of as a sentence because he did something wrong in life. He's a screw up, so he has to go in inventory duty forever, right? Very rinse and repeat. A lot of the same stuff going on day in and day out. He's surrounded by some pretty benign characters at first. He realizes how interesting they really are. And it's kind of like a prison sentence in a way that they are there to do this job. It's kind of take these screw ups, these important screw ups, get rid of them, take them out of society and throw them over here and put them on inventory duty. That's how this book starts. Now, the second half of the book really goes off the rails when we understand that this particular warehouse that they're working in gets overrun by like these rednecks or whatever they might be, these rebels, and they hijack all the alien and secret technological advancements and weaponry that have been experimented on or whatever. They take all that stuff and they start wreaking havoc all over the place. So it turns into these people trying to step up and take the technology back. And of course, the world is a different place now that these people have ravaged it in a certain way and they have all this new technology and everything. So it's a really cool book with a lot of humor and levity, great writing, very smooth writing and everything. So it was a book that I really enjoyed. It's a book that kind of breaks up some of the heaviness, but it also has really incredible art and coloring in it as well. It's a really great technically looking book. So I really enjoyed that. The technology is awesome. The story was amusing as well. Man, anything Kurt Pierce is putting out, I highly recommend checking it out. This one's no different. 51, let me know if you read it. All right, next up from Dark Horse Comics, we have Usagi Yojimbo, Kaito 84, issue #1. So we have Zach Rosenberg on this one, but we have Jared Cullum doing the interior artwork. Guys, the interior is beautiful in this book. That's the standout thing for me. The story's got some pretty solid moments throughout as well, but this painted style that he does inside, it is gorgeous on every single page. So it is set in 1984. There's very much like a Miami Vice feel to this. There's a heist. There's this rebelness to it that is pretty cool. And it's a different like setting for Usagi and team or these analogs, whatever they might be. So I like the scenery and just what's going on, like the landscape that we're in and all the character design and the clothing and the cars and the buildings and whatnot. Aesthetically, the book is absolutely gorgeous. The story is really great too. We have very familiar characters like our Usagi and I think Yu. They are teaming up right now. Of course, they have different opposing views on how to approach different situations. They're going around on these different heist missions. There's a lot of exciting car chase scenes throughout this book as well. There's a lot of mobsters that we're dealing with. So it's one of those like on the run heist kinds of books. So Kaito does get kidnapped in this issue and get voluntold to go on this heist to get this new mystical artifact, right? This like spearhead. And so we need to do that right now before somebody else does. There's a moment coming up where we can do a switch real quick. So it's going to turn into a cool like Ocean's 11 kind of a thing too, I think. So we have great interior artwork, just beautiful interior artwork, a compelling story following like the Usagi bloodline into the 1980s. It's been pretty fun so far. Let me know if you read it. All right, next up is Space Ghost issue #9. David Pepose, Jonathan Lau on this one. You guys already know this is one of my favorite series out right now. I've been loving this book for like 2 years now. So go pick up the collected editions. I'll have one of them linked down below. You can get caught up and join the conversation. You will not regret that. This one's coming off the heels of the Antimatter Man. Space Ghost and team have taken him out, but it was Grandpa Contra the entire time, and so there's a lot of emotion behind all of that. There are people who are very upset that Dr. Contra was taken out, kind of blaming Space Ghost when they probably know better, right? Blaming him unjustly and using their psychic powers to enslave him and Jen and Jace at the same time. So this really turns into an issue of like breaking out of that psychic control, understanding that it is a dream state. This thing is feeding them all these negative emotions or whatever it might be. They have to understand where they are at that moment, and they have to break out of that. And so it's kind of like a mental prison that they've been put in. So slowly, one after another, they do end up breaking through there and taking on the powers that be. But it's just another great example of perfect teamwork inside here. There's so much emotion and layers to the story. You know, it's not always super predictable, like what's going to happen. You assume the good guys will prevail at the end, but they're put in these situations where it seems impossible they're going to come out of it. But through teamwork and perseverance, they end up doing it every time. But like I said before, guys, if you're not reading Space Ghost, you're doing yourself a disservice. Go back and get the trades and get caught up on this one. All right, next up is TMNT. We have issue number 16 coming out from IDW. Of course, we have Yang on this one and Williams doing the art. So the Ujigami has just told our team, has just told Raph specifically that he is going to be taking out Casey Jones because Casey Jones will be responsible for Raph's death here in the near future. That's Splinter possessed right now. That's his goal at the moment, to basically take out anybody that's a threat to his family so he can reunite him with their mom and everything else. And so that's the one-way mission that he's on right now. And he's not really taking anything else into consideration. It's like, I don't care how loyal and how friendly and how resourceful Casey has been in the past and the legacy we have with this character. If he's a threat to my family, we're going to take him out, no questions asked. So who is asking the questions? Well, it's the other brothers, right? The other turtles are stepping in, and they are basically pinning themselves between Casey and Splinter at this moment, trying to have calmer heads prevail. Now, when the Ujigami realizes this is not going to be an easy battle, he kind of disappears from that moment and goes on to the next person on his list. You know, Kari is going to be one of those people. So he's going to be taking her on, and the Foot Clan and anybody else she's teamed up with in the process. And that puts him in pretty interesting situations. Now, we know from previous issues that Kari has teamed up with the Shinigami, and she is trying to tap into some of this mystic power that Splinter has tapped into to basically like control the dead. But she needs more sacrifice. She needs more powerful blood, something like that. So she's going to be tapping into Splinter, since he has direct access and history with this power source, to do just that. So that's what we're going to be doing, siphoning some of that dark energy to imbue ourselves. So as you can tell, this book is insane right now. We got the brothers back. We got Casey. We got some of the Foot coming back. We got Splinter, although he's possessed by some weird demon right now. And, you know, it's feeling good. I feel like we're in a good spot right now with TMNT. Looking forward to more. Let me know if you read it. All right, next up is Quiet Place Storm Warning issue number 1 from IDW Dark. Now, Phil Hester's on this one. Ryan Kelly is doing the interiors on it. So I got this one because I really enjoy the movies that have come out. There's been 2 of them so far. I've liked both of them. I like the world. I like the monster element of it. And I just want to see what the comic would be like. Now, the majority of this book has taken place before the events, or just as all these meteors start crashing down, right? And these monsters are unleashed. They're hearing rumors about different towns and whatnot being destroyed. They don't quite know what's going on. The news media is unreliable right now. Signals are being dropped here and there. We have one guy that's taking it upon himself to kind of like rally the whole town together and tell him, like, guys, we have ourselves isolated being on this island. I think it's in the Mississippi somewhere. We can destroy the bridges and pretty much isolate ourselves from all of this because they can't swim, according to reports, these monsters. And we can, you know, hopefully survive this whole thing. If we don't do this, we will be wiped out like everybody else has. But of course, there's the skeptics among the whole crowd. He eventually gets pushed out. His ideas get pushed out. So he goes upon himself to do the plan that he had originally and maybe just ask for forgiveness later. Little does everybody know, though, like this threat, this monster threat is closing in on them faster than all of them has expected. And so we do get to see like the moment where danger is right at the doorstep. We do a flash forward to, I guess, present day in the series where everyone is now adjusted to the fact that monsters have taken over everything. We need to go on supply runs to the shore to like get fresh water, to get resources. We have all these techniques to distract the monsters who are using sound as their primary way of like finding people. So even the critics that we saw in the very beginning of the book are well-seasoned veterans in the fact that these monsters exist and we need to do something about them and gather resources now. So it is really cool to see the characters that we hated in the beginning be useful and relevant and like accepting the fact that they were wrong towards the end. Now, at the end of the day, I really like this book. I like the premise of the story in general, and I like so far how they've orchestrated and storyboarded the first issue. So it's got me excited to read more. I want to know though, did you guys pick this one up? Did you like the movies? Let me know your thoughts. All right, next up from Image Comics, we have Dork issue number 1 with Brett Bean. Guys, I was just checking cover price and seeing some people talk about this, that Dork issue number 1 at a 9.8 is approaching the same value as Absolute Batman at a 9.8. Just check cover price, and they are closing in pretty quickly on Absolute Batman. So first, I want to know your thoughts about that. Now, of course, we have way more Absolute Batmans in circulation than we do Dork's issue number 1, but what are your thoughts overall? Now, with that out of the way, I will say that the idea of Dork, the character himself, the landscape he's in, the way that they've developed the world just aesthetically, the art style, the color style, it's vibrant. It's got a lot of character to it. There's humor. It's a likable character. It's got some things we've seen before, but it's rolled up into a newer package. And so like it has some curb appeal for sure. And I enjoy the character. I think you can put him in a lot of cool situations. We're still learning more about this character, but we really understand like his little entourage that he's with, his possessed shield and the chicken, the ghost chicken that's with him. So there's a lot of cool things he can interact with, and you put him in interesting, crazy situations, and that just amplifies the excitement. But what I want to focus on in this issue is the use of the landscape and just, again, the ancillary characters and some of the new villains and new threats that we're dealing with. Again, thrown into this mix, I think it really makes for a compelling story, and it's just a funny one as well. There's a lot of humor behind all of this, but there's also some thoughtful moments as well. We somewhat reiterate the prophecy that the world thinks that Dork is going to fulfill, which is basically combining these two types of creatures and basically wiping out the world. We're reiterating the fact that that's not the case, or he doesn't think that's the case. I want to see what the actual character development looks like and what the actual plan is for this thing, and see if he has to like fight that in any kind of way. That's going to be really cool, besides just running into people that are fearful of him and just evil people in general and taking them out. Like, is he going to have to fight himself at some point in some fashion? I think that's going to be some cool things to explore later. So again, I think we have an interesting character at its core. He's got some friends with him that are interesting to deal with too and interact with. We have this prophecy looming over us, and we have a really just bright, vibrant, just fun-looking environment with some interesting bad guys thrown into the mix. I think this book might have some legs, man. I want to see where this one goes. Let me know your overall thoughts on Dork. Next up from Images, Seasons issue number 9, Rick Remender, Azeketa, and we have Lopes doing the colors. So obviously this is coming off the heels of the previous arc. We had this ringleader circus basically taking over cities and towns across the world. Our sisters now got wind of this thing coming, and they were trying to prevent it from wiping out their entire family and everything around them. Now Spring and her sister Summer are teaming up right now, trying to arm themselves, trying to develop a plan to basically take out their sister Winter, who has taken over as like the main antagonist of the book. Now Winter, who is Spring and Summer's sister, has taken over as the main antagonist. She's blanketed the city with like this winter gothic vibe, like a Nightmare Before Christmas type of a scene. And of course, she's still drinking the Kool-Aid, still looking into that mirror and hearing everything that she wants to hear. And that's basically how the circus has trapped everyone in the previous issues. So Spring and Summer have to come up with an idea to infiltrate, to take out, and to rid her of this mirror influence, get this circus out of town, and break the spell for everybody else in the entire city. Now, Spring and Summer couldn't be more opposite of each other as far as personality and just life experience, but they do have to team up in here to take out their sister, and they're using people step by step to get in, just to like get entrance into this castle where this big event's going to be taking place. They need to use these people or blackmail them just to get to that first step. And that's really what the issue is, just getting those breadcrumbs, just making that small advancement toward this new event so they can take out their sister. I feel like I am selling it short though. It is a really brilliant book from a dialogue and conversation point of view. I like all the high stakes inside here. The interior artwork is absolutely gorgeous from Aketa and Matt Lopes doing the colors like I mentioned. And it does feel like the team has leveled up and learned a lot from the previous volume. And so I'm excited to see where the story goes and how they can take on Winter and her army. Next up from Image is the latest $20 book to come out. This is Tigris Island issue number 1. I just had a feeling this one would hit, to be honest with you, so I went ahead and grabbed it because I knew a lot of people would want to read it. Now, I don't know the creative team at all. I read the solicitation, and it's not something I would normally read, but like I said, I knew the hype would be there, so I went ahead and pre-ordered a copy just to check it out. And basically, it's a story where a bunch of models get together, they come from across the world, they had different life experiences, they're all running from something. They come together in this one meeting, they get introduced to this one person, they ultimately get kidnapped and taken to Tigris Island. So the girls do get to their final destination, this new island they haven't haven't been to before. They quickly meet the next dominating force, right? This woman who's going to be basically their master going forward, telling them how it is, basically leave your life behind. This is the new status quo. You might as well get used to it. They're joining like hundreds of other women that are in situations like them. I guess they're going to be going on these dates with these high rollers, but nothing's going to go too far, I suppose. But we're still understanding all the rules of the land here. And really, we learn in the second half of this book is this is no place to joke around. These girls are still getting used to the idea. They don't know where they are. They're disoriented. They're still in shock. They're kind of pushing it a little bit, I guess. And they're learning pretty quickly that this is a serious place with consequences. So I'd recommend checking this book out. Undoubtedly, there's going to be a second print if there's not one announced already. This might be for you. It's not exactly for me, but it's something I wanted to check out because I knew there's going to be some hype on it. Let me know if you guys read it, though, down below. All right, then lastly, we have Die Loaded issue number 5. Kieran Gillen on this one, Stephanie Hans, Clayton Cowles doing the letters. This might be one of my favorite issues of Die or Die Loaded so far. So we met the Fool in the previous issue. Turned out to be Chuck's son. That's a big deal. Read the first volume of Die. You'll understand all of that. But Chuck had other children as well. Violet, his eldest daughter, is also in Die. She's playing the role of the master in this one. And that's a big deal too inside here. She's basically in Die right now. She knows her father was killed inside this game previously. She goes on a hunt for him and finds him and uses him in a really cool way. Now it is brutal. She is warped. She's full of vanity right now. She's trying to be beautiful. She's trying to do all this stuff. So she's not in the right headspace. She's basically using her father as a luring mechanism or as a monster to lure the right people in to have some closure on her life. Now, Sophie is the victim in this circumstance here. She gets face to face with Chuck. There's an interaction there that I'll let you read and understand, but there's so much gravity and weight behind that whole scene. We get to see some more Chuck inside this issue, but how much Chuck do we get? To what end, right? Violet is really using her power and abusing it in a really sadistic way, and I love just like the gravity behind all that. Now, there was this dangerous cycle we could have gotten ourselves in between Sophie and Chuck, where they are. I'm glad it didn't necessarily go in that direction, but we're going to get more Chuck in the future, which is the big reveal towards the end of this book. So again, I wear myself out saying this over and over again, but Die Loaded, and Power Fantasy, some of the best comics out there right now, all written by Kieran Gillen. Check this guy out. Read those stories if you haven't yet. I couldn't recommend them anymore. But all right, guys, that's what I read this week. Those are my thoughts. Let me know down below what you grabbed and what your favorite books of the week were. And check out the description. I'll have links to some of these books down there so you can get caught up on the conversations. It's a great way to help support me. But as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Like, subscribe, share, hit that bell notification to be alerted whenever I put out new videos. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the comments.